Oh, mercy! You are listening to the Surgecast on whatever podcasting network you download this stuff on.
A part of the Hockey Podcast Network.
Canes fans, you're listening to Surgecast, the second best podcast out there.
Follow us on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Now, let's get into the episode.
Welcome in to a Stanley Cup Championship edition of the Surgecast. Just out here popping bottles, celebrating the Canes Stanley Cup Championship win. Feels great to be on top, doesn't it?
It has been a long time coming.
So we'll get into the celebrating, bottle popping, where's the cup, finals breakdown, all of that. Let's start with our just instant reactions. The Canes win the Stanley Cup for the first time in 20 years. Bailey joining the show because we had to have a reunion for this episode of Canes winning the cup. We all had to celebrate together. Bailey, you are in the building where the Canes won it all. Take me through that. What was it like? What emotions were going through you as you see Jordan Staal racing the cup?
So first off, hats off to every single Canes fan that was out there. That place was full of black, red, and white. Like, it was, Canes fans came to show out, and I was very proud of it. Spent a lot of time with a few fans before puck drop, and then going in, I was very surprised to see just how saturated our lower level section was. So I wasn't surrounded by a bunch of Vegas fans, which was fantastic, which made experiencing such a dominant win just that much more incredible. Was on the edge of my seat for just a little bit there. Energy came out good. And that after the first goal, I'm just sitting there. My dad is on the edge of his seat. He's like, I really hope I didn't waste all of this money just to see this go back to Raleigh for a game 7. And as soon as the goals started to pile up a little bit, like you could tell the arena just started to, like, the levels started to outbalance each other. You could hear a pin drop in this place. The in-arena staff, props to them, were trying everything possible to get Vegas fans on their feet for one final time. And it just, Bussy chants are breaking out, and you know, everybody in red is just going nuts. And I just remember nobody was sitting down for the last 5 minutes of the game. If you're wearing red, if you're wearing a Canes jersey, nobody is sitting down. We're all going nuts. As soon as Carter Hart goes off toward the bench, everybody just gets that much more excited. And I mean, I'll be honest, there was not a single dry eye around me. Like, it was an emotional moment. I didn't jump ship as many people would like to say. my dad will give me crap for it all the time, but I'm still a Canes fan at heart, and being able to see that, and as you mentioned, you guys, it's been a long time coming for this team. In the Rod Brind'Amour era, this team has had the grit and the competition and the desire and drive to go and win cups. They've had the capabilities to go and win cups. So to see them finally jump over that last hump, they beat the Eastern Conference final curse. They went and dominated these playoffs, which we'll get into here shortly. They went and did every little thing right. And to see them finally get rewarded for everything they've been working for the last couple of years on Rod Brind'Amour was an emotional moment. So seeing Jordan Staal meet with Gary Bettman twice, and being able to lift both trophies, and finally seeing that moment come to fruition, seeing how excited Sebastian Aho was, seeing how excited Jordan's family was for him. It was a very emotional and raw moment. And as much as I would have loved to see a different version of the Stanley Cup final, I'm glad it could be the Canes.
Zach, where were you? What was going through your head in that moment?
Actually, I was just here back at the house. Wasn't able to get out there for those games and stuff like that. But it's, I predicted 6 and thankfully it worked out. But yeah, just sitting here, just kind of, doing my normal thing of covering the game from, a long way away. And, just once you started, like you saw the first one going, you're like, okay, this could be a good start. And you see Jackson Blake score, and then you just kept saw the time running out. You're like, okay, this could be the thing. And then Nikolai Ehlers hits the empty netter, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, this is like, it's almost like a reminiscent of the Justin Williams empty netter. That game was 3-1, where like, okay, this is like, you thankfully put this away. This one where it's like 3-0, okay, this is like, it's over, it's done and dusted, like, this thing is going to happen. And you still had a good, like, minute and some change left, and it started just kind of hitting a little bit. And of course, try and keep, the updates going and stuff like that, because, just having to get ready for everything post game. And then once it hit 0, I'm not going to lie to you, like, I was actually crying, because the fact that it's like, being around this team for the last 3 years of just covering them as much as I have, and then just, being there for the first one back in 06 is like going into my freshman year of high school. And now 20 years later, seeing this team do it after, we all lived through the dark ages, and then the last 8 years of them trying to just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And you finally beat the Eastern Conference, like Bailey said. And then, you battle through the first 4 games, you tie it up, you come back for game 5, and then it's just, you get the second one, then you go and get the third one. And the way you did it too was a shutout, was just a cherry on top to what was a fantastic moment. Just like Bailey, like I said, I'm not going to lie, I was definitely crying, because like, that's just, you've been waiting for this. We've all been waiting for this for a long time. And just be able to see that is absolutely amazing. And yeah, it would have been great to see it in person. Yeah, obviously. But for the fact at least one of us was there was really awesome. And the fact we all got to see the moment of the Hurricanes can put to bed all of the negativity, all the jokes and all that stuff. It's like, you saw just how legitimate Raleigh is as a hockey market, and the fan base as like, no, the Hurricanes aren't just saying that they're the best, they showed that they're the best. And it was a great moment. And it's just like, Saturday's going to be awesome. Definitely excited for that. And just the fact that we get to, the Hurricanes are back at the top of the mountain once again, and the fact of how big this window is still open for possibly more, it just makes it so much better. But the fact that we get to kind of just take this all in over the last few days, and the fact that we're looking at a full summer full of, celebrations, it's definitely exciting for sure.
Kat, I was there with you. What was going through your head in that moment? We were at the watch party at the Lenovo Center. A place was rocking. So the clock was counting down. What was going through your head?
Well, all the watch parties at Lenovo, honestly, it felt like you were at the game. It was just as full. It was just as loud. So like, even though we couldn't be there in person, that's the closest you want to be without getting that game 7, because nobody, like, well, we wanted the boys to be there in front of us. No one wants that added stress on top of the lack of sleep we all were working on. But it was kind of just a surreal moment, just being able to watch them actually do it. Because it's, again, we've talked about it, year of positives, all of that, like just being so optimistic and all of that. But this year has been trying, not just for the Canes, but for us as well. So the Canes, went through their own bit of injuries there for a good long while. Looking at the number of games Slavo played is kind of insane. And then that was like that just showed how resilient this team was going to be throughout the season. That's why this season felt magical to start with, is like, okay, if we can get through this, then we're going to give it all we got. But yeah, it's just a surreal moment. Again, the Canes started out the season on injury, and so did I. To be able to not be handicapped seating and to be sitting in our pretty much where we are supposed to be sitting for the whole season. And we were surrounded by friends, longtime fans, and people that had joined like just a couple of years ago, and just the overall joy on everyone and tears surrounding it, like getting to experience that. You feel like you're part of the team, hugging on the ice, so excited. But just experiencing something that you felt like you also put blood, sweat, and tears in for with loved ones is just no words. I not normally a big crier, so I didn't fully sob as Rich did. But the tears definitely piled up there, just seeing the joy and the tears on everyone else's faces. But yeah, I think it was a moment of just relief, exhaustion, just taking over, and like full like exhilaration and joy, just to see players that you've just seen, like known for so long, be able to accomplish what they've been fighting for and fallen short before. And I don't know, there's not enough words. I could keep saying it, but none of the words actually encapsulate what we were feeling in that moment.
It was amazing. I too was on the edge of my seat for most of the game. Game 3 really scarred me in the reverse order, because I said, I witnessed 3 goals that fast. Like, for the love of God, don't let Vegas do that. So even when we were up 2-0, and then they pulled Carter Hart, I said, if this game's not over, some crazy shit could happen. So like until Ehlers scored that empty netter, that's when I finally let it loose. I said, oh, it's going to happen. This is going to happen. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to be Stanley Cup champions. And then, yeah, I cried to Kat's point. The season we had, like, to go from that to be able to share that with Kat and the journey her and I went on, like, that was special. To be able to experience that with her was amazing. So for all the bullshit we went through this year, all the hard times, for it to pay off after this year was unbelievable. So yeah, I was crying. Like
it's just great to see it too, for the rest of how you like grown. Like, we've seen you grown as a Hurricanes fan. It's absolutely amazing. Like, first cup win, automatically start crying. Like, you love to see it. It's just that journey you've been on too, man. It's been awesome.
That was also exhaustion for him.
Well, that too, but
in
it's
the
still
late
funny.
nights.
Yeah, but it's just funny how the fact that like you got him into the Hurricanes, Cat, and now you look at it like how many years later, and it's like the investment is really there.
Yeah, he's learning what a winning team feels like for a little bit. So.
What's it going there?
Right.
Yeah, we won't go there. Shout out Ben Johnson. But I'll say, like, yes, I think, like to think about just the fandom. Like, people ask too, like, oh, like, people thought I missed work for 2 days because we were just up celebrating. But people were like, did you go to Vegas for the games? Like, how'd you become a fan? It's crazy to like have to explain it. Be like, no, Kat invited me one day. Didn't know much about hockey, and it's turned into this. So it's been a crazy couple of years, and I'm glad I became a fan when I did. Going through the New York series, going through the ass beating of Florida in the ECF last year, like, to go through that, to experience this, like, I wouldn't have felt as like joyful if I just happened to like the team this year. We've been through some shit, and it all paid off.
Well, that's what's so rewarding about this particular win for me too, is whether you're a fan that joined just a couple years ago or you've been through the trials and tribulations since 2006, like, this is such a rewarding moment for the city of Raleigh and for this team in particular. And there's so many different things that build up to exactly what this moment means. And it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. You've got fans like you who going through New York and seeing the battles of battling Florida, like that's not easy. That's still a trial in some ways. It's just not the same as the Dark Ages. But there's still like emotional moments to where like you can find a certain appreciation for exactly what this team had to do in order to get to this point.
I love seeing the different reactions of people. Like, even just going to see like my chiropractor. I literally rolled up there and he goes, we were talking, and then he just pauses and he goes, we freaking won. And he was like, I got to go to a game this season, and it was like against the Red Wings. It wasn't like an end of the season game or like anything. It was just like a regular game. But he's like, I got to go see him, and then they won it this year. Like, I got to get a jersey now. Like, I'm so into it. And like, it was just so adorable to see like the impact of just that, of being like, I was part of it. Like a new fan coming to it, like people now that have like been around the Canes or maybe haven't been like super invested just because they've never been super into hockey, but now they've like gone to a couple of games or they've watched it and they've seen just how much, joy and character these guys have, to seeing fans where it's crazy. They're like, I've sat through this for years, and they're like, if I didn't go to another game, I would be fine. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. And they're like, and if I'd have to watch the rest of it on TV and I don't go in person, that's okay with me. Like, they're like, they've hit their mark, which is crazy to see the two like different sides of like how people are celebrating this. And to hear friends tell us that our wedding might only come in second place for best moment in the upcoming years. And I said, you know what? That's fair. Imagine if they went on the same year. That would be a hard thing to surpass, but it's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and the fact, like you said, like all the stuff that's coming out too, and the fact that like I've just seen nothing but like everyone's getting like Hurricanes tattoos, which is just absolutely amazing to see. So the fact that's just the impact of what this team has, that people are like, I'm gonna go get inked and have really cool tattoos and stuff. Which, I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, if, get one eventually be kind of cool too. But just the fact that you're just seeing all of that, and then just how excited downtown Raleigh is for like all these, like, because I've seen these like the local shops down there all excited for people to come in and have their food and drinks and just kind of just hang out and just have a party. Like they're talking about 100,000 people coming onto downtown Raleigh, which is just awesome. I mean, those businesses are going to love just being able to have those people there and celebrating. So it's just, that shows the impact of this team has had. Like, think of it just like 2006 where they won it. And it's like, okay, you've made a mark. You said, okay, we are a hockey, this will work here. And now 20 years later, we see where it's at. And you see like the watch parties in and outside the arena. You've seen the reactions, and just people talk about the tailgating and the fan base. It's like now it's like, no, this is a hockey city. This is not just it's Carolina. It's like, no, this is straight up hockey. This is a hockey city, bar none. Debates over. Like, Raleigh is it. Raleigh is the place to be when it comes to just talking about hockey, just the experiences and just the team, and just how much more fun it's going to be, not just this summer, but seasons to come, with just where this team is at.
You mentioned the tattoos. I'm waiting for the text from Catfish to be like, hey, we're adding on.
Yeah. So many group chats are blowing up with that today. Yeah. No, I had to mute ours. I did too. I did too. I was like, guys, I can't. I'm at work.
I love you guys, but no.
I've had to do that for just in general and during the games. I'm like, guys, I can't be distracted by you right now. So yeah. I get that.
Well,
yeah.
I love to see, again, like Zach said, how the city, they've embraced this team. We already knew they embraced them, but everyone had that little slow news day during playoffs where they're like, wow, Raleigh it's not really showing that you're in the finals, and they haven't really advertised it, all this stuff. And it's like, all right, bud, well, we were just waiting until we won it and we were going to go all out. So now come look at us. And we're ready to show you how much we love this team.
I will say that is a just very widespread NHL thing, though. Like the NHL playoffs just don't really get marketed all that well.
If you're competing with like the Knicks playing, yeah.
Yeah. So but like I've noticed that over the last few years too, isn't it? It's not just like these two markets who might not be good hockey playing in the Stanley Cup final. Like, who wants to watch that? We're not going to market it. And like I've seen that across multiple different playoffs in the last few years. And it's with as exciting as it's been. It's something I was talking to Mike Maniscalco about the other day too, is like this final overall has been, it was such an exciting brand of hockey. It's everything that the NHL wanted. It's everything that they signed up for, as far as games that you can't tear your eyes away from, because something, as you mentioned, Richie, like you're on the edge of your seat until you're not. Because it's going to overtime, or because an empty netter happens. And we've seen 2-goal leads get erased like that. And that's exactly the kind of hockey that the NHL is looking for. You see all of these viewership numbers completely obliterated, new records put into the books, because people are just so interested in this brand of hockey. And it's not what you would expect from the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. It's not necessarily it. I've talked to multiple people who are like, these two teams play almost a boring brand of hockey sometimes. But this particular final made it so exciting to watch the matchup, the elite talent, the way that different guys showed up. It's everything you wanted.
Well, this brand of hockey also took years off of my life. I thought the Canes were going to kill me multiple times during this year. It was tough. And we can go ahead. We'll jump ahead to kind of the breakdown of the games. We can touch on them a little bit, some key moments, deciding factors that we had before we get into all the celebration recap. So go through quickly. We know game one, just the back and forth game that Vegas ends up winning, stealing it at the Lenovo Center. Going ahead to game two, first of what felt like many comebacks. Canes end up tying the game. I thought they were going to end in regulation because I was so tired. And it went to overtime. I said, stop. I want to go to bed. I think everyone thought that. But the Canes won in OT, tied the series at 1-1. Go ahead to the infamous game three. The Canes unreal comeback.
The game that I think, honestly, even though it was an unfavorable result, I think that's what determined the series, because I think that gave them the idea of, oh, if we don't mess this up, it's our game to lose. They couldn't beat us until there was this fluke, and we made them worried. We were able to do this. We were able to come back. So I think that turned the series, where it was like kind of a nail biting, and like the first one, the loss, and the really like just barely was like a reminiscence of like Florida pass. Like it's like we're just there, but we're one off. And then you get to the part where you're like, no, we came back and we won this, or even though we lost, we came back. We got our overtime win, and then we came back. Like this is our game to lose. So I feel like that honestly just determined the series.
Yeah, basically you planted the seed of doubt in their heads, like, oh crap, like if they can do this, like these guys aren't going to go away. So I think that's what, like you said, it started to plant the, oh, this is bad for Vegas if the Hurricanes can pull that off.
Yeah. So game three, seed of doubt gets planted. Game four, Canes go ahead. Stahl breaks a tie. We love Bussy getting the win, 5-3 win for the Canes.
Best goal of the series.
Tying the series. That will be a statue maybe one day, or tattoos on many folks as well.
Just falling down and scoring on a backhand. Gross of a goal.
Ties the series, coming back to Raleigh. Canes win 4-2. Is the loudest I've ever heard the Lenovo Center at the end of that game. And then obviously game 6, Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup. We touched on game 3 a little bit. Any standout moments, any others that y'all can think of throughout this series that you're like, yes, when I think back to the 2026 Stanley Cup finals, these are the moments, these are the players that I'm thinking of?
Man, for me, I think you look at, I think it was definitely the Jordan Stahl goal where he's falling down in game 4. And I think that's where that was his 2-goal game, I believe. And just the way he kind of just willed that team into that game was really huge. Andrei Svechnikov with his 2 power play goals too, absolutely unreal. For the fact that the power play was trying to get going, and the fact that he just ripped those 2 was just fantastic. So I'd say those 2 moments, like you said, there's so many, but I'll say for me, off the top of my head, Andrei's 2 power play goals, and then Jordan Stahl's 2 goals that capped off with him falling down and just scoring on a crazy backhand was nuts.
Yeah, Andrei Svechnikov was going to be the one that I brought up, and he, up until this series, had a pretty quiet playoffs. And so to see that 2-goal game from Svechnikov, not only it being a 2-goal game, but 2 goals on the power play, I think was huge. He's a confidence guy. And if you can get him going, he can generally find the push that he needs to make the kind of impact that you want to see from Andrei Svechnikov, who's playing in a top 6 role. And I think that was huge for his confidence, and for that being the game where you can officially look at it and see it as like, okay, they've figured the Vegas Golden Knights out. Like this should be, ideally, shouldn't need to come back to Raleigh to finish this series, as much as Torts wanted to give his own team credit, which is what you're supposed to do as a head coach. The Hurricanes figured him out, and that was the game to kind of stamp that I think, which is what you want to see when Pavel Dorofeyev is finally finding the back of the net again. And if you can quiet that and snuff that out before you can create more issues or allow them to create more issues, I think is huge. I think one of the bigger surprises for me in this series, and it's maybe not a standout, but Logan Stankoven going at least a little more quiet than what he had done in the first 3 rounds was a little surprising to me. But he's still making an impact, which is what you want to see from your second line center. It was hard to compete with the kind of production that Jordan Stahl was putting up. And then, some of the numbers that Taylor Hall was putting up as well. I mean, if you saw the final Conn Smythe voting, like there's a reason those 2 guys led first and second. And Logan Stankoven kind of got pushed off to the side. But Logan Stankoven, I think, still deserves a conversation, not just, maybe not for some of the production that he couldn't find in that final series, but what he did overall throughout the playoffs.
I think one of the standout things here, and I know we're talking about the finals, but all of playoffs, honestly, was the storyline of all previous postseason performances was we can't score, and then everyone went cold, and we would struggle, and this one it was like, even though our top line took a little bit to get into it, I love that the rest of the guys stepped up and said, we're still going to do our jobs. The second line was like, nobody could figure them out. Like they would do their same thing. You've got a very undersized guy. You've got a skill guy, but gets a little bit too close to the net sometimes and you can push him off the puck. And then you got the veteran who will throw the hits, but is also like, he's a veteran. Like he's not the like top guy anymore. So you're like, this is a hodgepodge line that you didn't realize was going to work so well together. But they just knew where each other were, kind of like what you would hope the first line would have because, they'd been together longer. But I love their just resilience to play their game. And even like you said, when they went quiet just a couple of games, they still played their version of Hurricanes hockey like nonstop. Like they knew how to enter the zone. They knew where each other were. They were making impacts wherever they could, even if it wasn't on the score sheet like it was in previous series. So just watching that top line kind of pop off after a lot of doubt was put in that line, especially with everyone always wanting that 2C and you weren't sure about it. And you're like, now we're seeing what the leadership team was seeing when they really put their focus on Stankoven being in that new position. So I think that was a defining moment of the playoffs, is that line taking it until the rest of them decided to catch up, and Stahl and Ehlers were like, we're here too, we're ready to play. But it was really like, it was just the whole team effort, honestly, because you did have top guys not playing their best until the very end, where we were very dominant when we were playing. So you have Aho took a little bit of time to get into it. He finally gets that monkey off his back and you could see the difference in his play after that. He was all over the place. He was throwing more hits. He was getting the touches. And you even see like that last game that was the Slavin we'd known for years. But in the playoffs in this season, he struggled because he's off a big injury and it was just like different for him. But the last 2 games, you're like, nope, that's who I recognize. That's one of our leaders. Yeah, he's here. We'll be fine. Like you could just see them like turn it on. And so to see everyone kind of handle the weight until their friends were ready to go and getting into the groove of things, I think was a really big thing. And I will stand by. We talked about this, the year that's very much recalling it, but the year that Svetch went down with his injury before playoffs. And we had talked about, I think in the postseason, we had talked about who is a more defining person on the team. How would you do without Aho or without Svetch? And we were kind of saying like, who's our mega force on the team? Most people said Aho, and I'm going to be honest, for most of these playoffs, I still would have stuck with mine of Svetch, because Svetch was still being physical, even though his line wasn't connecting, even though he wasn't scoring, he was making an impact where I just was like, where's Aho? Where's he at? But when he scored and Aho came to life, you could see the team really just rally around him. Rod gave him a huge fist bump because he knew how much that meant to him. But to answer that question now, the dark horse of the team, I don't know how none of us said how are we going to get through playoffs without Jordan Stahl.
This is true. I love that you bring up Sebastian Aho too, and sorry to kind of cut you off, Richie, but Sebastian Aho, I think he was a popular conversation in non-Kane circles too. Like, it just goes to show how far that reach goes, because the conversation has consistently been, and it's something we at least when I was still with the Surgecast full time, combating that conversation of Carolina doesn't have any superstars, and they don't have that one guy that they can solely rely on. Like, they don't have the Cale Makar, the Nathan McKinnon, or the Connor McDavid, or the Leon Draisaitl's of the world. And Sebastian Aho is a big part of that, because ideally you want him to be that superstar. You expect him to be the guy that's, you know, stepping up and scoring the necessary goals and being the, you know, eye candy of the team as far as, you know, creating plays and creating production. And he plays an interesting brand of hockey that not many people love to see from their 1C, but to sit there and say that he wasn't productive is, I think, a little far-fetched here, because no, he's not scoring the goals that you want to see from him. No, he's not getting involved in as many offensive plays as you'd love to see.
He'll always get the points, though.
He's got the points. Like, he can always get there, and it's one of those sneaky things where you're like, how is this guy this far up in the point standings? Because you don't see it, because he's really sneaky that way. But it's because of the kind of two-way player that he is, and he's buying into a lot of that defensive style that Rod Brind'Amour demands from his top players, which I think is really important when you look at the overarching effect of Sebastian Aho in this playoff series. Or not just this playoff series, but the playoffs as a whole for the Carolina Hurricanes. Is he's quiet but deadly in that way, and it's one of those lines that not many teams know how to figure out, because they're not quite what meets the eye, or at least what meets expectations for what a lot of people would expect. You've got the hard hitter in Svetch kind of being the bully in ways, and I really love that there wasn't as much of a microscope on him for these playoffs, because he's generally the guy who makes one little wrong move and all of a sudden it's to the box, buddy. But you're seeing that play in tandem with a Sebastian Aho, who you can allow Svetch to step up and forecheck just a little bit more and bring out that physicality, but you can get more involved in those offensive plays. And Sebastian Aho can take that defensive role that Rod Brind'Amour demands. And it was something I really appreciated from this, because it went kind of quiet. And I heard a lot of the Carolina doesn't have a superstar, like that's going to hurt them in the long run. And look what happened.
I need to point out before we keep going too, is, and as much as I hate to give them credit, I think Florida kind of I hate to say it, they did lay some groundwork to show that it doesn't have to be superstars. It's a team effort. Because
Absolutely.
While you talk about Matthew Tkachuk, while you talk about like Bob, but like it was also Verhaeghe. It was also the rest of their guys. It was also Brad Marchand,
Barkov and all them. Yeah.
Barkov and all of them. Like it was, they are like, yes, a couple of them are like superstar,
they have
like
superstars. Yeah.
But
yeah,
but they've grown to that, because when they got compiled together, they weren't full. Like a couple of them weren't on that kind of radar yet. And then because of their success and because of how they've worked together, like Verhaeghe got known as like the overtime or like the end goal game power play guy, just their success together. And like, yes, do they have a little bit more credit behind their name before we do? Yes. But I think this is setting up for like people to be like, it's not a one-man show. Like, sorry to the Oilers, Bailey, sorry to the Avs, but when the rest of the team doesn't get all behind quote unquote the superstar, he can't cover everything.
What about Martin H's? Sorry, we won't go there.
All right, so Rich, before we continue to talk about more guys,
we're not going there today.
Yeah, Rich.
As this podcast would go as long into the night as I did on Monday night.
You know what I'm going to say to finalize this section here is that who stood out?
Yeah.
Huh?
Your section on,
My
on
section.
Fishy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a throwback episode for sure.
I'm gonna say the big question of who stood out. I'm gonna say thank you to who stood out, and it's gonna be Mikko Rantanen for saying no to this team and letting us form. We've got Halsey, we got Stank, we got Key. So this is, you know what, the biggest standout. Mikko Rantanen on the golf course. Thank you, bud. We appreciate it.
Do we give him a round of
Carolina
applause,
had
or we
to-
do him
had
out,
to have-
do him out the building again?
All right,
Oh,
Rich, how
poor
about you?
guy. Don't.
How about you?
Don't do that.
No,
Stand
poor
up.
guy. He
Mikko.
went for the money. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer my question finally, I will say, when I think of the Cup Finals specifically, key moments that happened, I think of Bussy's save on Marner. Like, I'm gonna look back and think of that specifically.
Yeah.
It could have been 5-0. Your ass is grass at that point. Like, all the air's taken out of you, but you get Bussy, who hasn't played in 2 months, pretty much, getting a save on a guy who, I don't know if he had the hat trick at that point, but
It was
had one of the greatest.
It was a natural Hattie in 6 minutes.
Yeah, it had one of the greatest Cup performances of all time. Bussy gets a save on him there. Like, that play changed the just entire series, in my opinion. Again, Canes didn't win that game, but I'll always think back to that moment of, wow, like, what happened with that save, and just obviously Bussy's performance the rest of the year. He caught that magic again that he had at the beginning of the season when he was just rocking and rolling. So that was amazing to see that again. So that was great. And to your point about like Stank and like, yeah, in the Cup final, not as prevalent as he was the rest of the series, but how about pretty much though, even for most of the series beforehand, Freddie and then it getting handed off to Bussy and then Stank are two big questions at the beginning of the year. 2C goalie. Some of the highlights of this Cup run. Like, that is just unbelievable. Like, the two big question marks were solved. You see what this team does. Like, when there's no question marks. And then the big one, too, the injuries. Rob brought it up. We've lost key pieces here and there all the time. Like, they stayed healthy, and the guys who needed to step up did step up, like, when they really needed to. And that was the most beautiful part to me of, I think we've always known that when this team plays up to their potential, they're good enough to win a cup. They just haven't stayed healthy enough to do that. And they've gone missing, or the question marks have become like the realities. Like, this is still an issue. There are no issues this year. They got it done. And it's just an amazing feeling to know, with everything we'll talk about in a little bit too, like the future, like this could happen again. I'll say that.
Yeah. So actually,
go ahead, Zach.
Right. Yeah. So a couple more guys actually want to touch on Rich, that I feel like had some big impacts.
The whole
that
team.
Yeah.
Well, yes,
Flowers.
but yeah, I know Bailey and Kat had a few, but two guys that I really want to touch on is, how about Nikolai Ehlers? The big question was, can he stay healthy? He played all 82 games. Now I know Blake and Walker and those guys had rest later on in the year. They could have had 82 games as well, but Nikolai Ehlers in his first year in a new system has a career year. Absolutely insane. I still think his 8.5 is a steal. This guy could have easily made $9.5 million, but he wanted to come to Raleigh. Do you know how many points he had in the Cup final that I don't think anyone's talked about yet? He had 4 goals, 9 points in that Cup final. Like, the most quietest 9 points. Like, yeah, he was very impactful. You saw the 2 goals that he had in game 1 in the empty net. Like, he started the Cup final with a goal. He ended the Cup final with a goal. What a way just to have a nice little Danish pastry to kind of just end that, essentially. But then,
Well, part of Stahl's success was him. Like, him being his line mate was part of his success.
Exactly. But then another guy that we haven't talked about, which I'm really surprised no one's mentioned yet. How about Jackson Blake? He led the team with 13 assists and 20 points in the playoffs. He had 3 goals and 6 points in 15 games. In 15 games last year, he had 6 points total, and I think it was like a minus something. I forget what it was now. But he, like I said, 13 assists, 20 points, led the entire team. Like, I don't think he got a whole lot of Conn Smythe votes, which, I mean, it's understandable with what, Hall, And obviously what Jordan Staal did, like those, obviously the captain deserves it after putting up a record, tying a record and having 6 goals in a cup final. But like you said, Bailey, there should be more conversation too about Jackson Blake and the impact he had. Because you're talking about a guy who's in his second year, 22 years old, 13 assists and 20 points to lead the Hurricanes after a career regular season. Bonkers type of stuff.
I need it on the record that, again, my question was about the cup final and key moments and guys to think about. So while JB didn't have like the moment in the SCF, I don't want it to go unnoticed that still as his second biggest fan when we saw Jason Blake at the bar at Teats.
We had to clarify.
Yes,
biggest fan.
Yes. I said, Kat said, Rich is your son's biggest fan. He said, whoa, second
and I
biggest
said,
fan.
wait, I mean, besides you, his biggest fan.
The fact that Jason Blake is a legend.
So, yeah, I want that out there on the record. I am Jackson Blake's second biggest fan. I knew the impact he had all playoffs. But
I know.
I think back of the cup finals, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I need that on record for my own credibility.
Yeah, it's just I know we're kind of like talking like you're supposed to be big moments when we did, but also I think it's just the impact. It's like you kind of have to talk about the impact along with the guys who are just impactful in general. I think and I've been beating on the Jackson Blake drum all year, and it's just that's one of those things where it's like that guy, like talking to him in the preseason, it's like, hey, what's your mindset? I just like last year, make the team. This year, just be better. Hello, career season, and you just led the team in the playoffs in points and assists, and you just won a cup at 22, and your new contract doesn't kick in until next year, which is a steal at $5.11 million. Okay, thank you very much. Some people are like, oh, well, Jackson Blake is on his way to be a star. I'm like, Jackson Blake is already a star. Start talking about an elite to almost superstar for this kid, because I think he's going to get at least 60 points next year. I know that's more later down the road, but yeah, like you said, Bailey, you're talking about Stankoven and how just there's going to be more talked about him. I think Jackson Blake was a guy on that line that wasn't talked about enough, in my opinion. Yeah. Because every time I brought him up, people were like, yeah, he's doing good, but you're looking at Stankoven and Hall. No. We're not forgetting about this guy, because he was that dude a lot in the regular season and the playoffs.
Casually led the playoffs in points, I think is
huge.
I also think
no problem. Yeah, just casually.
I do think you also bring up a good point too, and I know again this is supposed to be a segment about like standout performances in the Stanley Cup final too, and it's not necessarily one moment, but I think you have to give your flowers to Shane Gostisbehere and how impactful absolutely. He was as far as, point production, getting on the board, and kind of being the backbone to some of the offense that was created. But as far as overall performances too, I think we also need to give our flowers one to K'Andre Miller for being when I was chatting with right. No, and we gave so much attention to the forwards. I feel like there's got to be some attention to that blue line too. And this is a guy who Mike and I talked about a lot, and saying I feel like it's not far-fetched in saying he was one of the Canes' best defensemen throughout this entire postseason run. He stepped up when you're maybe not seeing the exact version of Jacob Slavin you need to, which I think is huge. When you look up and down this blue line, there's not one single pair that you're not confident in, which kind of leads me to my next point too, and saying, look at the guy who played next to Jacob Slavin, who did not miss a beat in Jalen Chatfield.
Also, Sean Walker, dude, absolutely amazing.
I miss my buddy Sean.
I've talked to Sean Walker a couple times throughout the playoffs. Absolute salt of the earth dude. Absolutely amazing person. I'm glad we got him for another 3 seasons.
Guy.
Yeah, Sean
and
Walker's
honorable mentions of Nikishin,
everyone else,
and Martinook. Honestly, top line Martinook. Not many people would have seen that as the winning line for the Stanley Cup Finals. But man, he was the reason for the Aho goal. The work he did. And then all grit guys down on the fourth line. Got literally Rod never went short with the lines. So
nope.
They were there.
I remember this vividly. It was one of the first few years we moved to Colorado, and I'm having a conversation with my dad on the back porch, and we're talking about, Rod Brind'Amour and how his lines never look the same from one game to the next, and he's always moving guys around. And we're having this heated debate about whether or not Jordan Martinook is a first line player or a fourth line player. And he went to war for this man back then. It was like, how can you sit there and say Jordan Martinook is a solid, like fully like cemented third or fourth line guy? He can play first line minutes. He's really good when you can find a line that clicks. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, Dad, you're smoking the good stuff right now. Like, I don't know what to tell you here.
He's
like,
neither. He's third line playing first line minutes. That's what he is.
Right. And so
there's no line. There's no lines to Rod Brind'Amour.
And so I remember calling our old neighbor who I grew up with in our old subdivision in North Carolina. And he ended up agreeing with me. He was like, Jordan Martinook first line? Like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, there's something going wrong. You spent too much time in Colorado or something. I have no clue. But yeah, I remember vividly having that conversation and severely underestimating the capabilities of Jordan Martinook and the exact impact that he can have on a line and just how effective it has turned out to be. His career in Carolina, I mean, look at the trajectory. You go from a guy who you're acquiring, you're not expecting to make a huge impact on the team, to putting him on waivers, him clearing waivers, and still continuing to have that upward trend of being a productive, crucial key to this team and where they ended up at the end of the season, which is hoisting the cup.
Moving back to Key for a second, I do want to say
No, I still want to laugh at the one thing, just real quick, Rich. I still laugh at the fact we got Jordan Martinook on this podcast because of a goof off.
Yeah. Yep.
Highlight. We got Jordan Martinook on the podcast. We have now a Stanley Cup champion that was on here at one point. Okay, go ahead, Rich.
I love this.
Well, maybe we'll have two, because I think we were part of the reason why Keandre Miller had the series that he had, because post-game, he was asked if he had something to prove, and he said, I had a lot of people count me out. I had a lot of people talking shit. Yeah, I don't know. Can't wait for him to see my ring. I look back.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Oh, well, it was actually all of us. At the Olympic break, I gave Key a C-. Kat gave Key a C.
I gave him a C+.
Gave him C+. So we all gave him C's. I'm sure he was more talking about New York than us, but if there's a chance he saw that graphic too, I'm sure he took it to heart. So look, if I'm part of the reason why Keandre Miller had the playoffs he did, then I will talk shit about any player. We talked about Stretch at the beginning of the year, he played well. We talked about Aho, he turned it on. I don't know. We might have to just turn into the hater pod.
Listen, I need to clarify, it always comes from a place of I know what they can play like and I expect more. Yeah. That's where it comes from. It's never of like, wow, they suck, get them off the team. It's more of a like, I expect more. And clearly he had more to give. But yeah, Nope. Jordan Stahl knew it too. Jordan Stahl, there's that video of them congratulating on the ice. He leaned in, he's congratulating Miller, and he said, man, you're it. You're one of the pieces that got us over the hump. Thank you so much. So
getting him and Ehlers, just chef's kiss to an offseason to bring those two guys in. After getting Logan Stankoven too, just masterclass by Eric Tulsky. And the fact we still have $11.9 million too for this summer. So
let Tulsky cook. We'll get to offseason in a second. I do want to recap the celebrations so far and what has been happening around town and the Stanley Cup tracker, which everyone's been trying to figure out. So started in Vegas.
Good luck with that.
Hell of a place to win the cup. They're out all night. Their flight gets pushed back at least an hour and a half, which is only because they stayed up all night and guys would have missed the flight otherwise, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
They make it back into town, greeted at the airport. Marty's hanging out of the top of the bus with like D'Lo, Robbie. That crazy.
D'Lo has been so much fun to watch in these celebrations.
They better sign him to I don't care if it's $1.5 million. Sign him to be the extra guy in the locker room, We need him and Marty as the 1-2 punch for the hype
A
guys.
vibes guy for sure.
Sign me up for Nick Delorier as a 13th forward hype guy. Absolute beauty.
He was a big part of the celebration at Teats, downtown Raleigh, off of Glenwood. Kat and I were there in the back. They brought the cup out 3-4 times, but everyone was kind of, for the most part, up front lifting the cup, but ended up being worth it because arguably, you talk about the wedding being second, Cat. There's moments where I want to be like, wow, the engagement was almost too. I had that much fun Monday night. Like the engagement's still one for what it's worth, but man, like the arguably second best. Yeah, I know. I dodged a bullet.
To her
That
face.
was
To her face. Dang. Rich.
No, he was
I-
he was this close to Jackson Blake dancing on a bar. I knew what I was. I knew.
Dude, JB took my phone. I got a picture with him. Shout out Jason. It was amazing. I got Nikishan. I even labeled it. You can't see, but Nikishan sprayed this bottle. I took it. Like it felt like I was in the locker room. Like we always joke about going to Teats after because occasionally the guys will be there. But like I always dream of that. I always dreamed of like partying with players. Like I just wanted to share a drink. Like to have that moment was amazing. They took the cup out by the time we got in there, which shout out to Jordan Stahl for being responsible with it. But that was an amazing time at Teats. Move ahead to Tuesday, kind of around town. Ended up at Rudino's at one point, which was very fun. He started the day at Rudino's, moves on to North Hills, and then from there they end the night in Raleigh Ironworks, kind of a family event. So they're starting to chill out a little bit. Yesterday, they end up going golfing out in Western North Carolina, getting after it again. And then today, if you've listened to Spittin' Chicklets with Marty and Halsey, they need a break. They're not doing anything. Marty even said he still needs to see his family. So they're chilling.
He's been hanging out with
Today.
Ghost a lot. He's been hanging out with Gossip Bear a lot.
I'm sure everyone needs to go back and have a rest day and see their family. So
Well, I was gonna say, did you guys see the Goss Despair's wife kind of shaming Shane? He was like, "Have you guys spent a moment apart since winning the cup?"
5 feet apart. Have you been 5 feet apart from each other? No. It's just that was absolutely fantastic. And well, the fact too is that I forget what golf course it was, but yeah, now Jordan Stahl's an honorary member at that golf club, and every guy was there. Like that's just awesome to see the fact that you had the entire roster, just hanging out on the golf course, playing golf with the Stanley Cup. Yeah, no big deal. It's like that's just fantastic.
yeah, even the captain needed a day off from the cup. As of an hour before this recording, Thursday night, the cup is now residing at Rod Brind'Amour's house. So he's watching it over the night. Also said on Spittin' Chicklets, apparently they're having a pool party at Jordan Stahl's house tomorrow. So again, another chill day because Saturday parade beginning at 11, rally to follow. The boys probably won't be able to walk again. So they are revving up to be ready to get after it on Saturday. Get there early. It should be one hell of a time there in downtown Raleigh.
If it's
They're
anything like
expecting 100,000. It's gonna be nuts.
if it's gonna be anything like a couple of the past Stanley Cup moments, I'm expecting some all-time one-liners at this rally. This is gonna be a fun one. Whether that's
Someone's going tarps off. I'm already going to guarantee someone's going tarps off at the rally.
I'm gonna guess
Like-
it's D'Lo.
that's exactly who I was gonna say. If it's not D'Lo, it's Marty. Lock it in.
Now watch it be Seth Jarvis just out of the skies, just rips the shirt off and just starts going after it. Watch it be Jarvie, just because.
That would be fun.
It'll be an amazing time on Saturday for the parade. I know we haven't gotten to the parade yet, so we'll keep this segment brief because Canes fans don't want to hear about it. But quickly, I want to hear one off-season hot take from everybody. Who might leave? Who might the Canes target? Well, what's a hot take? Who wants to get this thing started here? Great, I'll go. I think they try to find a way to get Hellebuck. I think they try to get Hellebuck. I think it's Hellebuck, Bussy. As no disrespect to Bussy, I think it's you need the 1-2, 1A, 1B tandem. I know Hellebuck's well above a tandem, but you need to keep guys healthy. And I think you can, at any day and time, call him Brandon Busty in relief, and you have full faith in him. But then imagine Hellebuyck in front of this Canes defense. You're going back-to-back easily. That is my hot take. You get rid of a contract or two. The money works. He's only at 8.5 AAV. I think Nikishin signs a bridge contract to where you still have a lot of cap space left too. I think it's a lot more doable than people think. You have the prospects if needed. You have the future picks if needed. Connor Hellebuyck to the Canes is my one hot take for the offseason.
Well, my question for you, what do you do with Pyotr Kochetkov? He's got 1 year left. Do you move him?
He's in that deal.
Oh,
It'll be a sad day, bad day, but he'd be a part of that.
Bailey, Cat,
Okay.
that one?
My big thing was going to say Alexander Nikishin. That's probably where I was going to go. I mean, he's an RFA this offseason, so
That's a hot take.
it's not necessary. It's not necessarily a hot take. I don't know it because
It's lukewarm.
this
It's a
offseason-
lukewarm take.
it's a. I really, as much as I want to see a bridge deal, I think that would be the smartest route for Nikishin to go. They've got a lot of money to work with over the next couple seasons. And with as smart as Tulski's been in negotiating some of these deals, I won't be surprised if they try to lock Nikishin down for a little longer than what might just be a bridge. You've got at least 2 different defenders that are signed through 31. Lock down your top 4 for at least the next 3 years.
I could see 5 or 6 for Nikishin, honestly, if they want to try to
Yeah.
not go super long, because I think the new long is 6 and 7, not 7, 8 like it used to be. So I could see like a 5-6 year at like
Yeah.
5-6 million. I could see that
Yeah,
kind of being
give me-
the
Yeah.
in between of a bridge and a long term is that middle
Um,
ground.
No, again, it's more of a lukewarm take, but I don't see a bridge deal in Nikishin's future. I see it going a little more longer, quote unquote, term. I think Mike Riley's probably gone. I think you're probably looking at another 7D situation for the Canes. Other than that, I'm really interested to see what happens with Shane Gostisbehere. What's interesting about the Canes, and it's something we've talked about with the Avs for a little bit, is that there's really not a whole lot of turnover to happen for this Canes team this offseason, which makes for what could potentially be a really boring offseason. But it's the best case scenario
I'm
for this
okay
Canes
with
team
it.
because you're looking no, and that's exactly what I'm saying, right? Is like this is the best possible scenario that the Canes could be in because you have 4 guys, considering Frederick Anderson. I'm more so talking about skaters, but 3 guys that you need to look to re-sign in order to potentially run this back. And you're looking at a team that was already really dominant and looking at performances from players who were a little on the quieter side. And you're wondering, okay, if that's what this team looked like while players are performing at 60%, 70%, what could it look like with some healthy guys running it back next year? So I think maybe that's my hot take or lukewarm take or whatever. You get everybody you need to get re-signed. Look at what you need to maybe do at the trade deadline. But this offseason, I think, is going to be a pretty easy one for the Canes.
I'm going to pick it back off you a little bit, Bailey. Like you said, for me, if we're talking defense, I know we got Jalen and Ghost on the last year of their deals, and you're talking 30 and 33. That's not crazy for those guys. If you want to look for something a little bit longer for them, if you're like, well, these guys are great, we can. For me, July 1st is when you're allowed to do extensions. My hot take is you're extending Ghost and you're extending Jalen Chatfield. Give me another 2-3 years on top of their contracts. Like, why not run it back with the same defense for a couple more years? Because you saw how good they were, and if Ghost stayed healthy all year, you're talking him breaking Brent Burns' defense record. Like, he had 55. I think he had like 50 points in 55 games. Like, you give him another quick math, and it's like another 17 games or something like that. He easily could have gotten 11 more points. Like, he easily could have at least tied or broken Brent Burns' record. So I guess my hot take is I could see some extensions coming for Ghost and Chatty for the, going into, next season with 1 year left on their deals. keep him around for a little longer. Why not? 33 and 30 is not crazy. Give him 3 years each. You're talking 36 and what? 33, 34. Okay. Not upset about that.
All right. My hot take, and it's not really a hot take, I guess it's lukewarm. I think everyone is very aware of how much money we have, but I think the reason we have the money that we have, and I think how Tulski does so well, is that we're not just going to go launch ourselves at like a big name free agent just because. We're going to do something very smart like Ehlers. Whereas if we really like, if it's a big name and you think, oh, hey, this man can really fit in our system and we can find a place for him, we will. So I think it's going to be that normal of like the Canes are always going to be in the conversation. But depending on, you know, what's being offered for them, like all of that stuff, the logistics. So I think we'll be sniffing around. I don't think we're going to be one of the desperate teams. So we're always going to be kind of in the mix, but we're not going to have any immediate need. It's not going to be one of those off seasons where like, we got to get someone because yeah, like maybe I feel like we'll mostly be probably sniffing around at goalies because they'll probably be just, hey, what is the options there? But that's going to be okay. We do have an option if we stay with it because that's been us before. It's like we can stay with our options if we have to. The fact that they did kind of ask around about Bob makes me think they're still going to just ask and see what's going on. And then they'll see what's available and they'll address it. But I don't think we're in any sort of like major need, which is kind of nice because you really can just enjoy this off season and enjoy the team and you're not going to worry about guys disappearing. I think the hot take I have is I do think Mike Riley probably moving on. Me and Rich have talked about this. Rod is not a big one for the younger guys to really be sitting in the press box. So guys like Nystrom, guys like Legault, they fit the system very well. And I think we've got options there, but I don't think he's going to want them to be the 7th where they're not playing. So I think they might look for another option there with those guys kind of on call. But I did see a take by someone that I do kind of agree with now that I think about it, and also just based a little bit on performance in playoffs. I think now that there's no Olympics and now that they've won the cup, I think Jarvis might get his shoulder taken care of. And if Jarvis is out, that might leave room for them to bring Nadeau into the mix for a little bit, or at least try to see if he fits into it there. Because this would be the time. If you're going to get a surgery, or if you're going to take care of something, you've won the cup. If you miss a little bit, that's fine. Like that's still the goal, but like take care of it now. You don't have the big things you were aiming for. Like the cup is always the goal, but also you want to prolong your career. And I know I could see in playoffs there, Jarvis you could see he was favoring it a little bit. And just kind of off from his normal heavy hitting game for as heavy a hitter as Jarvis is. So if that's taken care of, kind of like how Slavo's stuff got taken care of last offseason, I could see it potentially someone like Nadeau, or if we see someone offseason come in. But I kind of like it. I feel like we had a lot of big switch ups in the last couple of years. We had longtime guys like Pesci and Shea and all those big changes, longer like Trocheck needed. Those years sucked because you didn't feel like you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, and you had your long-term guys kind of leaving, and you're like, what now? And I've seen a lot of winning teams have to, they went big at the trade deadline, or they have to unload guys because they don't have enough room to pay them. They don't have enough room for them. They're moving on from them. And to know that this is a team where you can kind of keep everyone around, even your fourth liners. Like we were like, yeah, they're doing what we need them to do. And I see you're ready to talk, Rich, so I'll pass it over to you. I do know everyone's lingering question is, what about KK? And I don't really have an answer for that yet.
I don't know if anyone does, but that's another episode for KK. That was almost the perfect segment to in the Sebastian Aho window, which goes through the 2020. Oh, that is Winnipeg's lineup now. I was looking at Hellebuck's contract, 2031 to 2032 season. So, which includes a core essentially of Ehlers, whose contract ends before, Jarvie, Stank, Blake, Miller, and Slavin. how many more conference finals appearances do we see over the next 6 years? And how many more potential Stanley Cup championships can we see this Canes team winning? Let me set a line for each. I'm going to go easy on the cup one at 0.5 over under that. But then for the conference finals wins to play in the cup, I'm going to go 2.5 over under 2.5 more finals appearances, over under 0.5 more Stanley Cup championships for the Carolina Hurricanes over the next season, 6 seasons.
I'll go first on this one. I'll take over for both. I think there's at least one more Stanley Cup in this core, the way it stands right now, and the potential for what cap and what draft assets and trade assets kind of look like for this team. I'm not going to go as far to say 2 is promised, though I think it's entirely in the realm of possibility, but I do see at least one more in the realm of possibility for this core. As far as Eastern Conference final and appearing in a Stanley Cup final, I could see them doing that at least 3 more times, if not 4. Just with the compete. And I mean, we saw how excited Sebastian Aho was and how competitive he's been over the last couple of years. And given that Jordan Stahl only has 1 more year left on his contract, we're potentially looking at Captain Sebastian Aho to take this core through those runs. And I think that's really important considering Rod's message through the playoffs and what's made this team as successful as it has in the Rod Brind'Amour era. And having somebody who is as competitive and team driven as Sebastian Aho is, I think could absolutely be the guy to get that message across. So if it's 3 or 4 more times competing for a cup, even if they're not successful every single time, I can see them making themselves a valid threat to the rest of the league, at least a couple more times.
I mean, I'll go for this one. I mean, for me is so over under 2.5 more appearances, half more cup. Smashing the over. For this team of this window, like some people could say that, like, oh, they're in the middle of their window. I'd say this is almost like in between of like the window just opening and being open, because you're talking about a team that's got a lot. This, like, the core is young, and the core after them is also young. Like, you're looking at Seth Jarvis, look at Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Alexander Keisha. All those guys are still relatively young. And, you know, Brandon Busty's not that much older. He's like 27. You know, Sebastian Aho is going to be 28. Like, Andrei Svechnikov's like 26. Like, a lot of these guys aren't really old in terms of a core. And, like, their second core is right behind them in those younger guys. And you could talk about a third core that's winning in Chicago. That could come up at some point too. Like, this window could be open for a very long time. And the fact that, like we talked about this, they have 11.9 million in cap. They can go and make trades. They can go and, I know the free agent class is going to be great, but they could still go make moves and bring guys in. I mean, we're probably not talking Dylan Larkin because that's going to be insane, and who knows what that asking price is and if he even wants to come. But they're going to want to go after guys who want to be here, who want to play this system. And the fact that all these guys are bought in, like where the roster is constructed right now, there's not a lot. I mean, pretty much almost like 99.9% of the contracts are great contracts to have on this roster. And they have all these guys in the window too. So, I mean, for me, I'm looking at this Hurricanes team to be like, we've talked about, you know, a Penguins dynasty. We talk about the Kings. We talk about the Blackhawks, you know, Tampa, Florida. I'm going to say it right now. We're looking at a start of a Hurricanes dynasty. I can see at least in the next 6 years, at minimum, I'm going to say it on record, 2 more cups. I think we're going to have 2 more in the next 6 years, because this is a Hurricanes team that is going to be a wagon with a capital W, wagon, because that's how good this group is going to be, in my opinion. Like, give me at least 2 more cups. I think they're going to do it.
Short and simple here. I say over on both. I think this team is a team built for the offseason or postseason. Sorry. I think this is a team built for the postseason. Like, they are going to go into that nonstop. I mean, we've seen it in the Brind'Amour era. There's no exiting early. There's no ending it at 80 to now 84 games. We're playing bonus hockey. So definitely see them getting through there. Definitely see them being competitors. I think it's up to the other teams now. Montreal, Buffalo, like whoever wants to meet them in that ECF, it's up to them to meet the Canes, because the Canes are going to be that's their lowest goal now, is that. And so I also think we've seen the dominance that is with like the Lightning and Florida, where you can run it back when you have to keep the same core. And I think that is, again, like what Zach said, that's a pretty strong possibility with this team as well. Last season or two, everyone was like, is the window closing? And they said, nope, it's wide open. And the fact that they did it now and that window is nowhere near closed. So yeah, seeing on both. Do I think we're going to do back-to-back, or do I think it's going to be immediate? Don't know. I like that idea, especially if we keep the same group. You'll face different challenges, but it's always going to be dependent on, perfect storm, guys staying healthy, scoring coming when it needs to be, our goalies on top, because to be honest, during the regular season, we did not think the goaltending was going to be fully what we needed. So I think this team is prepped for the postseason. And I do think the perfect storm can roll up more than one time.
Yeah, the fact that you bring that up, I'm in agreement. I think this definitely could be a dynasty. The only worry I would have, I think next year you are slated for a heavyweight showdown between Carolina and Florida. I think the Panthers have 1 to 2 more good years left, and then those contracts are going to look awful. But I think you've got at least one more year where the Hurricanes and Panthers are meant to meet each other, and it's just going to be fucking swing after swing, fight after fight, both literally and figuratively in that series to go to the Stanley Cup championships. Now, again, could it be like the Blackhawks, lack of a better example, where it's every other year, every third year? That could also be the case for the Canes, where you might not have a back-to-back in there. They could certainly win one every other year. So, again, I think Florida is the one challenge, but from there, I think once Florida truly starts to deteriorate and it's just you and Montreal left, I think Tampa Buffalo, is certainly on the backswing left. I don't know how Buffalo did it. I don't think that's a long-term thing there personally, but I think it's Canes, Montreal, like 4 of the next 6 ECFs. I think they'll get one on us, but yeah, I'm taking the over on more than 2.5 conference championships. I'm taking the over on more than 1 or more than 1.5 championships throughout the next 6 seasons easily.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, just for an added little bonus: one of these cups, give me Carolina, Colorado. Let's actually see what that would look like. Give me that for a cup final. Give me that for a cup final.
We were robbed of it this year. I'm still mad about this.
Some team decided not to show up for 4 games.
Don't remind me. Going back to Vegas for this game 6 was such a
PTSD. I didn't even think about that.
Such a PTSD-inducing experience, because I'm looking up at press row and I was like, I should be up there right now.
So while we touched on that, I do have something that I thought about with Carolina, Colorado, and just in general how the season's gone. So Colorado, and I think this is also what goes into the President's Cup curse and all of that. So looking back at teams that have won that, they've done really well in the postseason, and a lot of them get to the start and they stay at the top for so long. The Avs did amazing. They just had an incredible run. They did so well. You guys suffered some injuries towards the end. But when the injuries hit, you guys kind of faltered. There were some where you're like, I don't know what they're doing. I saw you say that at times. And it was kind of like, how do they respond to this adversity? And they seemed to bounce back into it. They went into playoffs and everything. And I think this is no shame to the Avs. I know I was giving you a hard time earlier, but I think the difference, not just opponents and all of that, but I think the difference is that with Carolina this season, they faced adversity from the get-go because they were down. Their top defender, nobody could stay healthy. Everyone was getting injured. Everything was mismatched. You had new guys in there. You're trying to figure it out, and they were willing themselves to win no matter what. So then when you get to playoffs, which is a whole different beast, and you finally have it figured out and you've made it through all that adversity, the adversity that playoffs throws at you just doesn't, like, you're like, I've been prepared for this. Like, whatever happens. And it showcased on a couple of those games, like where they had their asses handed to them by like Montreal, and some of those games where they lost just barely to Vegas. But it just showed that this team had already had that mindset of, even if we go down, we're not out, because we've went through this all year. And I think that was one thing for the Avs, is that what struggled with Vegas is that when they went down, a little bit of their mindset, because they had such a great, fortunate year, and as all the President's Cups are like they do, it's harder to bounce back when you suddenly feel out, when you haven't felt out for so long.
Well,
so
I was just going to say, not to throw a whole lot of the focus on Colorado too, because I tend to do that, and I don't want to get off topic too much.
Richie's
but
ready to mute you.
I know. I'm prepared.
It's expected.
Well, no, and so I'm going to tie this a little back into Carolina too. But this is a team you saw go into the new year with only 2 regulation losses. It's a team that was strong and was strong early. They win in Carolina on January 3rd. Everything goes to hell. You see Gabe Landeskog go down that next game against the Florida Panthers. And I'm convinced it's that win against Carolina that broke them. It's always Florida. And I remember going downstairs because I was in North Carolina watching this game against the Florida Panthers. I was sitting in your room while you were sick, Kat. And I remember going downstairs to Richie, and I'm like, I don't know what the heck it is I just watched, but I'm sick of it. I'm over it, because the Avs hadn't seen any kind of adversity like that. The captain goes down, and it's why he won the Masterton. It's why one singular person, the Professional Hockey Writers Association, gave him the heart, is because he was a crucial part of this team. And I think you're absolutely right, is that adversity, they fell apart in the second half of the regular season without going through injuries and trying to build themselves back up from that. You see how good Sam Malinsky is going into the playoffs, and how well that tandem between him and Devon Taves is working. And as soon as Cale Makar goes down, there's all this pressure. And I think the pressure is what kills. They talked all season about next man up mentality and playing a full 60, and they couldn't quite get to that. And you face that in 1 week against the Vegas Golden Knights, and it breaks you. And I think that's what made it the most devastating. And that's why it was so heartbreaking not seeing that Stanley Cup final between the Colorado Avalanche and the Carolina Hurricanes, as I know how much potential there was for a fantastic series there. And it's the adversity that kills.
Yeah, we see at the end of playoffs all the injuries that get stacked up, who's been hurting, who's skating on 3 broken feet. But it's really the mental game too. Like, we talk about it with the goalies, of course, but it's mental, because again, when you've been on a high for so long and then it gets hit, and I do really credit, like, they're both great coaches for the 2 top teams in the league. I will say I will always sing the laurels of our leadership in Rod, because he really does, like, that is, you can see it ingrained in all of them. It's like they hate to lose, but they're gonna bounce back from it, because they don't linger in it. They will not linger in it. That's why the big stat was Canes aren't losing back-to-back games. They refuse.
Since mid-January. Since
they lost to the Avs. They said the 2 seasons went different directions.
I was going to say that was a big game. That was a big game for both teams, and look how it turned out.
A blown.
I'll never forget tweeting. Yes, I'll never forget tweeting that stat. I turned to Bailey. She was pissed off, and then in the second, I said, "Bailey, you haven't watched this team at all this season. They've lost like 5 of the past 8 2+ goal games." I remember tweeting that stat, and it blew up, and I was so pissed off. I said, "How's this team keep losing games when they're up like this?" And for them to turn it around the way that they did, like, I shocked, thankful, actually not shocked because I'm sure Rod was chewing them apart. Like, we're better than this. We're better than this. And that's the whole point, I think, of this whole season of look what happens when the Canes are at their best. They're a Stanley Cup championship team. And I think we've always thought that just between injuries and everything else, they've never been able to be their best. And they finally were this year.
Yep.
Honestly, and I'll even credit that mindset to what we saw in Freddie Anderson, because that man had the worst year up until playoffs. And he said, no more. I'm done. Until he literally had to come out for injury and probably a little bit of mental health there as well. That man said, I'm giving it my all. And then Bussy said, I got the bus. I'm good. Give me the keys. We're going.
First goalie to go have his debut, or basically his first 3 starts, 3 wins off the rip. I think it was the second undrafted goalie to pitch a shutout in a game clincher to win the cup. What more can you say about this guy? Absolutely unreal stuff from Aaron Bussy. Like you said, Kat, we're not, and even he said it too. You don't care about Freddie Anderson as much as, he got grief for that the regular season. He went absolutely, that year where they met Florida and it was him and Bob were just throwing, saves left and right. It was all 1-goal games. And they, he had a sub 2 goals against average then too. But the fact that he went nuclear in the first 3 rounds, going 12-1, absolutely insane stuff. And you know what? At least Freddie got to win in a cup final. At least we can say that, hey, Freddie Anderson got to win in a cup final. And then Brandon Bussy goes and rips 3 straight on the Vegas Golden Knights after you just tied the series. And it's nope, all right, we got the win. We're not losing. Basically, like Shorzy, this team is never going to lose again. And they didn't. They didn't lose a game after Brandon Bussy started. Won 3 straight. Thank you very much.
We were also tearing Freddie apart around the Olympic break. And granted, we all gave Brandon Bussy A+, which he also gave A+ performances once he got in the finals. But it's amazing, again, to that point of everyone pretty much played their best. Unbelievable.
You're muted.
Yes, muted. I did not do that.
There we go. Of course.
I don't know. Yeah,
okay.
I did not do that.
I know. I want to read out a couple stats for you guys, right, while we kind of round out this whole what's in the future for the Hurricanes, because I think Brandon Bussy could be a big part of that. Mm-hmm. Brandon Bussy became the 3rd goaltender in NHL history to record a Stanley Cup clinching shutout during their first NHL season, joining Earl Robertson and Andy Atkinhead. Brandon Bussy also joined Bernie Parent as the 2nd undrafted goaltender to record a Stanley Cup clinching shutout. And he posted the 9th Stanley Cup clinching shutout in the past 50 years, and the first since Andrei Vasilevsky did so in consecutive years.
What that Western Michigan, man, I tell you, great hockey out of Western Michigan.
There's something in the water out there, and as long as this guy is riding as a Hurricane.
Do you guys see where all the guys are out partying and someone goes, they're all out partying, and Brandon Bussy is updating his LinkedIn, and he updated his LinkedIn to Stanley Cup champion. And
that
it's
is fantastic.
Oh my.
He is a Raleigh treasure forever now.
Oh, him and his fiance Mary, absolutely the best people. They're so great.
Yeah, I follow her on TikTok. She's wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm looking up Brandon Bussy on LinkedIn to confirm.
Oh, it's great.
No,
the fact
there were pictures all over Twitter. All over Twitter, my friend.
Brandon Bussy's I don't give a dang. I'm gonna put people on notice. I'm putting people on notice.
That's hilarious.
Man.
Oh man.
Rich is a verify before he believes kind of guy, so he's got to look it up.
He's per LinkedIn. He's still a student athlete at Western Michigan University and an accountancy major.
Whatever. Anywho, so
I'll shoot him an invite though. Send without a note.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure he'll accept this, but
well, like you said, Bailey, to wrap up the whole cup final stuff and wrapping things up, what a ride. What an absolute ride it's been. To
think this is where we'd be when this thing started a couple of years ago. Is
crazy.
insane.
February 2022 when this whole thing started. And like 4 years later, and it still blows my mind too that all of us were like, met through here. I know Rich wasn't there, but Stadium Series. Like, who would have thought? We're talking 3 years ago to Stadium Series. We're watching this team outside beat the Washington Capitals, and then fast forward, and here's a cup once again back in Raleigh.
Yeah, sitting there drinking hot chocolate filled Jägermeister with Kat and her
Oh,
dad.
that was
at the
That
Stadium
was
Series.
wild.
I'm still that was still a trip. That was an experience.
He's still
I'm
throwing
sorry,
them back nowadays. Not
I'm sorry.
Jägermeister. He's moved on to some hurricanes from end of days, but yep.
Sorry you missed that, Rich. You would have had a blast at the Stadium Series.
That was
Hey, but we'll
that
that just means we'll get another one, and he's gonna go.
I mean, hey, Gary
There we
Bettman said that in the future they're doing outdoor games and hopefully more All-Stars. So it's going to happen at some point once the renos are done. Which Lenovo right now is closed for the next couple months to do their $70 million part of their project. So get ready for some new stuff at the Lenny.
I was going to say if the project is still as behind as it was in January, below. Richie and I walked through, and there was a lot of construction going on. There's a lot of work to be done, but I'm excited to see what it turns out to be.
Yeah, the whole thing is for sure behind, because even the parking lot stuff. I remember them talking before last year, like, we got to get through NC State season before we drill in. And it's normally where Kat and I park, and we go to like one of the big lights, and we're like, well, RIP the big light, like it's not going to be here. And then leaving to celebrate the Cup championship, we're like, all right, we parked by the big light. I was going to say, that way.
Holding a Stanley Cup championship in a year where they're really behind on construction was probably a worst case scenario for these construction crews.
Yeah, I'm
Sucks
sure the
to suck,
themselves
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Who knows when that thing will get done? But
eventually.
That'll be
we'll throw it eventually.
No, I'm thankful to have met y'all through this. I'm thankful to have learned about the Canes, be able to have the confidence to talk about the Canes and not just Connor Bedard on camera. We've all come a long way, haven't we?
Yeah, it's it's crazy.
In the Connor Bedard throw. I love it.
Hey, you know what? The Hurricanes got draft capital. Go throw an offer sheet. Why not?
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him.
That's my other hot take. If the Hellbuck stuff doesn't happen, I don't see a world where Tulsky does an offer sheet. Some big name. I just don't know if they'll sign.
Yeah.
Shoot, and Tulsky's a shooter. Let that man cook however he does. But it's been amazing. And now look at Bailey, All City, DNVR. Big girl job covering. Hopefully, when they don't play the Canes, future Stanley Cup champions, you're able to cover one of those. I know that'd be amazing, and definitely rooting for you to do that. And then Zach, you can see it in the name below. His name, Lockdown Hurricanes. He's more locked into that. But daily content, the fact that you're doing that, Zach, is insane. Like, to do this once a week is a bit much for me at times with everything going on. So, like, props to you, dude. Like, the balls you have and the amount of energy drinks you probably drank to like get through all of that is commemorable, to say the least. I literally don't know how you don't like fall asleep just like that. It's been amazing. So proud of everything y'all have been doing that has sprouted from this, and for y'all to give me the confidence and trust to let me run this the way I have. It's been amazing, which kind of segues this to Kat and I being 1A, 1B. You decide who you want to be 1A in leading the pod. And then leading. I don't even know where to point. Yeah. 1A.
We all know the straw that stirs the drink of this show. Rich, you are production behind the scenes, but we all know who actually drives the bus on this show.
I'll be Bussy if Freddie goes 1A to start the year in the playoffs. I'll be Brandon Bussy if I need to be.
Honestly, yeah. So this year, as you could tell before this episode, we've been a little bit of radio silence, and we mentioned it earlier too. This season has been really trying. Between just personal stuff going on with us, injuries, all of that fun stuff, new jobs, navigating super fun things like that. But then also in like a good way, Zach and Bailey getting their new jobs and quote unquote becoming too busy for us. I'm just kidding, guys. But actually getting paid to talk hockey, which is the dream. So yeah, your two broke kids here down at the bottom of your screen are going to keep moving forward with this. We'll have these two jump on honorary guests at any time. But we're gonna we'll get ramping back up. Let us finish celebrating the Stanley Cup. Let Rich regain some mental health and overall sleep. Because if I steer the bus, he's the wheels and they've been falling off a little bit recently. So he's got to get everything realigned. Because when he goes nuts, so does production. And I don't know how to work all of that stuff. So, but we are excited to keep moving forward and talking more Canes hockey. We'll be more consistent, but let us celebrate in our off season, but we'll be back in your ears for sure.
Soon, because we can talk off season, my favorite part.
My least favorite part.
Bailey, Bailey, you can go real quick and then I'll share my thoughts, but you can go ahead.
I was going to say leaving the Surgecast was one of the hardest things that I had to do, just because this is where everything started. And I know Richie and I, last time I was in North Carolina, he was kind of chatting about, what the direction for his podcasting career was going to look like. And he was really excited about it and had a lot of really cool ideas, which just makes me all the more excited to see the direction that this podcast is going to go into. Like I hear all of these ideas and I see the passion and how much it was hurting you guys not being able to go and pursue this as much as you guys wanted it to, despite, the once a week being, it truly is a full-time job in its own way, even if you're only recording once a week to try and run something like this. Not a lot of people know what goes into the behind the scenes to get the podcast the eyes that it deserves. And so I'm super excited to see the direction. I'm super excited to see where this thing goes up from here. And I'm thrilled to have been a part of the start of it and can't wait to be an honorary guest moving forward.
Yeah, we got to bring on our big time DNVR guest star.
Don't talk me up too much.
Then you can talk abs all you want, Bailey. You're welcome to on this.
I'm surprised I got to talk about it as much as I did on this, which was already not very much. So there we go.
Full throwback to before the times of Rich.
Oh man.
Zach?
Yeah, no, it's crazy kind of being where it's at now, just trying to like reminisce, because you asked me a week ago, like this is a whole different segment to what we're talking about. And now we're kind of, surprisingly things happen, things pivot, but just reminiscing, just looking back at, I had the idea for this at, December of 2021, had to wait until February of 22 to get this thing off the ground, and starting off by myself, just bringing a bunch of different people on. And eventually, Bailey is one of the first ones that showed a lot of support to the show. And I was like, oh, bring her on, see what happens. And that turned into her being the first co-host at the end of season 1 going into season 2. And then eventually down the road, we get Kat, and then, Richie comes on, and, we're doing all of this, and, a lot of highs, a lot of craziness, a lot of lows. We had some great guests like Mike Maniscalco's come on. We got Shane Willis. We got Eddie Lack at one point, which is still a crazy thing that happened. And then Jordan Martinook on a rare morning fluke job that I did, and turned into him be on the 100th episode. And it's just been a great ride. And it's just crazy to think that, you're looking at 4 years and 4 months later, this is where it's at. And like Bailey said, for me, this is a tough decision, because I've known the last, couple months, it's like, I kind of saw the writing of like, maybe we'll eventually get back to it, but I know you guys were busy doing a lot of stuff, Kat and Rich. And for me, like you said, Rich, he just chugging along, and that like 5 shows a week, and eventually we'll hit 3 episodes a week in the off season. But then on top of writing too, like going to Stanley Cup final games, like I never would have thought that, just that on top of everything else is kind of where it's at. And all just kind of started here really, but it's going to be weird not being tied to the Surgecast, because this was the passion project that kind of really kicked this thing off. But I'm like Bailey said, I'm super excited to see where this thing goes. Because Rich, I know we've talked, I've heard your ideas, a little bit here and there, and just I'm ready to see what you guys are gonna do. You guys are gonna absolutely knock it out of the park, and I'll be more than happy to come back as an honorary guest. But I just can't wait to see what this thing looks like. And it was just, if I had to put this show into people that I trust, I'm glad it's my, 2 of my 3 closest friends on the show to get it done too. So it's just, I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And, this will be the last time we're all going to see each other, because we're going to have our group chats, and, us and Raleigh seeing you guys at some point, during
Don't you
seasons.
guys dare stop using that group chat, by the way.
No, we're going to keep it going for sure. But just, yeah, just like, Rich, thank you for coming on to do a lot of the the production stuff, the tool, the socials and all that. You've been absolutely killing it. I know it's been a lot, and then an adjustment for you, but I appreciate you coming on and taking a lot of that responsibility when I got all the craziness that Locked On going on. Kat, just coming on as a guest and then agreeing to be a third host, like that was a big shot for you. And the fact that it was just off of Instagram and Twitter videos of you just doing Hurricanes TikToks, it was just let's get her on, and then it turns into this, which is crazy. And Billy, like I said, you were the first co-host, and you had the earliest support for the pod when we were like less than I think like 100 fans or listens or whatever. So just thank you for taking the chance to jump on, Kat, like I said, and Richie. All you guys took chances on the show, and it's crazy to think that this is kind of like a different era now, another new chapter of the pod, going from, where we started up at Belly Up to moving on to independent, and then, THPN. And now it's just, different sets of co-hosts. And now it's Hurricanes win a cup. Now we get a new era of the Surgecast, and I'm excited to see what this next chapter brings. So just happy for you guys. And just, I'm very, very blessed to have you 3 as one of my closest friends. And just, this has been a fun ride. And I can't wait to see what's next. So thank you guys for everything.
It only took us going on a 3-month, 4-month hiatus for the Canes to win the cup. So I will happily go on
Maybe
another hiatus.
You need to go on that more often. Yeah.
We needed a little sabbatical.
Yeah, if the Canes are ever struggling,
I don't know,
we'll take
you
full
guys
blame.
were a little busy dealing with injuries, getting engaged, important.
Yeah,
things, right?
life stuff, traveling. Yeah. God, how dare you have a life?
Insane life stuff.
Insane to have a life. How dare you?
Yeah. But no, thank you for for having me on. Just again, the first time when I was a guest, I was like, I think I took that as like in a lunch meeting room at work.
I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did.
I was so nervous to meet you. When
I was nervous. I'd never been on podcast. I was like,
oh my gosh, because like you were pretty much Canes royalty at the time. I mean, still kind of are, but like I'm sitting here with like,
hey, and now I'm getting community noted.
Yeah, that means you made it.
Right.
That means you made it.
What a ride.
Well, no,
hey, community noted and $50 from Biz. I'll take it.
That happened.
No, but I just that is still an insane storyline. But no, I remember being so like it was like a starstruck kind of moment when Zach brought you on as a guest, and when he told me you were joining it, like I was super surprised. He surprised me when he told you that you were gonna be, or invited you to be on as a third co-host, and now you were my big sister, one of my best friends, and I'm not gonna start crying again, I promise. But like it's
you're gonna
so
see
emotional.
us just as much. You're gonna see us just as much.
No, absolutely.
Listen, nothing's gonna change. The fun part really is that this is really honestly, it's achieving things that Zach, I think you wanted when you started this. Is like you both got platforms moving up, getting more involved in the writing and being in the media world of hockey. But you guys can still come around when you guys want to take a break from earning money and doing that and come talk hockey with us when we're not at a game.
Yeah, all of the 81 or 41 games that you guys go to in a year.
Yeah, and then
now it's
hopefully
42.
the next
it's going to be 42 now. That's crazy.
Well, we did move down in seats, so we're going to be at less for this guy's mental health and our wallets. But we are still going to be just as committed. Honestly, you probably hear more from us because we won't be as exhausted from all the games. Because when you go to like 3 or 4 a week, you're just like, I think I've lived at the arena. So
7 and
After
12.
this-
Girl, tell me about it.
Yeah.
After this
but
crazy
I'm
season,
paying
yeah.
to be there. You're getting paid to be there. I've been working and getting
Oh,
tired
gosh.
from work.
Oh gosh.
But
That's
yeah,
funny.
I love that it's launched new opportunities for you guys. Hopefully it does some with us as well, but we are just excited to still be able to talk hockey with everyone. Because like again, it was a big debate on how we wanted to move forward with this. But I think it's something that we enjoy. We just got to find the balance of this and life. But I think we can do that. But celebrating the Stanley Cup also helps a lot going forward.
That it does. That it
Just,
does.
you know, a little bit.
Just a smidge.
Just yeah, you know, just a little.
God, and we can finally get some sleep after Saturday. Thank God.
Speak for yourself.
I was gonna say, what is sleep?
I say off season doesn't start for like another like 2 weeks. We've got a few days.
Gosh.
I'm just getting
draft
drafts next week, right?
draft,
Yeah,
free
well,
agency.
hey,
So-
enjoy a night or two.
draft or
I
free
just love I'm
agency,
not going to be as
yay.
stressed during this free agency and all of this time. The Canes, I'm not going to be as stressed. I'm going to love it.
We're gonna be cup hunting, Cat.
Trade the pick. Just get the pick out of the way. I don't want to sit for 5 hours waiting for the trade out of the first round.
Oh,
Please, not
God.
again.
This decentralized. We're getting vastly off topic. This decentralized draft stuff. I'm
Yeah.
dreading it again. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're very excited. There's going to be fun stuff coming up. Obviously, the off season will be coming back into your ears. It'll be we'll start ramping up, and obviously as news comes out we'll be talking about things that are happening, but then we'll get more into it when the next season rolls up. But we are very excited to be back, and just the new stage of the podcast. But thank you, Bailey and Zach. Everyone will see you guys around, obviously, where you guys write and report and everything in your own stations and places. But thank you for always being part of the Surgecast.
Let's keep this party
you.
going, though. Champs.
Bottoms up, my friend.
Break.
Bottoms up.
Break just like the book, but Canes the world
Oh,
champions.
God.
I think that's a great ending right here. I will see you guys on the next time on the Surgecast.